Hey everyone! Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the most powerful moments of justice and truth. This story will absolutely blow your mind. Let's get started. To grab their attention immediately, the boardroom was packed. This was supposed to be a routine shareholders meeting at Beacon Industries, one of America's largest manufacturing companies. Hundreds of people filled the seats. Investors, board members, employees, and media filled every corner of the room. Sarah Mitchell stood up from her seat in the front row. She was perfectly dressed in an expensive designer suit. Her blonde hair was styled perfectly. She had a confident smile on her face. "I'm here to present the new strategic direction for Beacon Industries," she announced, walking toward the CEO's chair at the head of the conference table. "As the newly appointed CEO, I'm going to transform this company." But she never made it to that chair. Marcus Thompson, the board chairman and a highly respected black CEO himself, stood up. "Ms. Mitchell," he said calmly, "before you sit down, we need to talk about something." The room fell silent. "You told this board that you built your career from nothing," Marcus continued. "You said you were a self-made businesswoman who rose through the ranks. You told us that you were qualified to lead this company because of your hard work and dedication." He paused. "But I just discovered something that changes everything," Marcus said. "And I think the shareholders deserve to know the truth before you take that seat." Sarah Mitchell's confident smile disappeared. Her face went pale. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice shaking slightly. Marcus looked her directly in the eyes and said something that would change everything. "You didn't build your career. You stole it from someone else." Build the story. Slowly and clearly, to understand what was really happening, you need to know the real story. The story that Sarah Mitchell had hidden for years. 20 years ago, a young black woman named Keisha Williams worked as a junior analyst at Beacon Industries. She was brilliant. She had graduated from Harvard Business School with honors. She had innovative ideas about how to improve the company's operations and increase profits. Keisha was working in the same department as Sarah Mitchell. Sarah was a few years older, but she was struggling. Her ideas weren't working. Her projects were failing. She wasn't advancing in her career like she wanted to. One day, Keisha showed her work to Sarah. It was a comprehensive plan to reorganize Beacon's manufacturing process. The plan included cost-cutting measures, efficiency improvements, and a new supply chain strategy. It was brilliant. It could save the company hundreds of millions of dollars. "This is amazing," Sarah said when she read it. "Can I look at this for a few days? I want to understand it better." Keisha, trusting and naive, said yes. But Sarah didn't just read the plan. Sarah copied it. She made minor changes. She removed Keisha's name from all the documents. Then she presented it to her boss as her own work. The plan worked. The company implemented it. Profits increased. The board was impressed. "This is brilliant work," Keisha's boss told Sarah. "You're going places." Sarah was promoted. Her career took off. She became a star at Beacon Industries. But Keisha? She never got credit. She never got promoted. She was told her idea was derivative and not original enough. She was pushed out of the project. She was marginalized. Eventually, Keisha left Beacon Industries. She was heartbroken. She was frustrated. She couldn't prove that her idea had been stolen because she hadn't gotten the credit in the official documents. She had trusted Sarah, and Sarah had betrayed her. Keisha moved on with her life. She got a job at another company. She did well there. She built her own successful career. But she never forgot what Sarah had done to her. Sarah, meanwhile, rode the wave of Keisha's stolen idea all the way to the top. Promotion after promotion, success after success. She became known as an innovative thinker, a visionary leader, someone who could transform companies. She had the job offers. She had the money. She had the status, all based on Keisha's stolen work. Then, about a month before this shareholders meeting, something happened that changed everything. Marcus Thompson became the new board chairman at Beacon Industries. Marcus was a successful black businessman himself. He had built multiple companies from the ground up. He believed in integrity. He believed in doing things the right way. During his first week as chairman, Marcus received a letter. The letter was from Keisha Williams. She was writing to tell him the truth about what Sarah Mitchell had done. Keisha included copies of her original work. She had kept them all these years. She had proof. She had emails. She had documents. She had everything. Marcus was shocked. He did his own investigation. He talked to people who had worked with both Sarah and Keisha 20 years ago. The story was consistent. Everyone said the same thing. Keisha came up with the idea. Sarah took credit for it. Marcus had to make a decision. He could keep quiet. He could let Sarah take the CEO position. He could ignore the past and focus on the future, or he could do the right thing. He could tell the truth. He could expose Sarah Mitchell for what she really was, someone who had built her entire career on stolen ideas and lies. Marcus chose to do the right thing. Build tension through conflict and revelation. What do you mean I stole my career? Sarah said, her voice getting louder. That's an outrageous accusation. I demand to know what you're talking about. I'm talking about Keisha Williams, Marcus said calmly. He held up a folder. 20 years ago, she presented a comprehensive manufacturing plan to you. 2 days later, you presented the same plan to your boss, except you removed her name and claimed it as your own work. Sarah's face went completely red. That's not true. I came up with that idea myself. Really? Marcus said. He pulled out documents from the folder. Then how do you explain this? He projected Keisha's original work onto the large screen at the front of the boardroom. It showed detailed plans for manufacturing improvements. It was dated and signed by Keisha Williams. Then he projected Sarah's version. It was almost identical. The only differences were minor wording changes and Sarah's name at the top. The shareholders gasped. Some people were taking pictures with their phones. Camera operators who had been invited to cover the meeting started filming frantically. These are my personal notes, Sarah said desperately. Just because they're similar doesn't mean... Let me show you something else, Marcus interrupted. He pulled out an email. The email was from Keisha to Sarah. It was dated 20 years ago. In the email, Keisha wrote, "Hi, Sarah. I've attached my manufacturing restructuring plan. Feel free to review it and let me know what you think. I'm really excited about this and hope you find it interesting." Sarah's response was, "Thanks for sending this. I'll take a look." Then there was another email, this time from Keisha to her boss, asking what happened to her proposal. The boss responded, "I heard that Sarah has already submitted a similar plan to senior leadership. You should probably talk to Sarah about it, but her version was slightly different, so it might be okay." Marcus looked at Sarah with disappointment in his eyes. "You took Keisha's work," he said. "You claimed it as your own, and then you used that success to build your entire career. Everything you've accomplished since then, every promotion, every accolade, every achievement, has been built on a lie." Sarah tried to defend herself. She claimed that she had developed the idea independently. She said that many people had similar ideas. She said this was a witch hunt against her. But the evidence was overwhelming. Marcus wasn't done yet. "We've interviewed people who worked with both of you," Marcus continued. "They all remember Keisha presenting the idea. They all remember you claiming credit for it. We have documentation. We have testimony. We have the original work, signed and dated by Keisha." Then Marcus said something that made the entire room gasp. "We also discovered something else," he said. "In the years after you stole Keisha's work, you did this to at least 4 other people. Other young Black employees who came up with ideas that you claimed as your own. We have documentation. We have proof. This isn't just about one stolen idea. This is about a pattern of theft and deception." Sarah's lawyer stood up and tried to stop the proceedings. He said this was inappropriate. He said Sarah had rights. He said this was defamation. But Marcus was not backing down. "This is a shareholders' meeting," Marcus said firmly. "The shareholders deserve to know who they're hiring as CEO. They deserve to know that the person they're about to put in charge of a multi-billion-dollar company built her entire career on lies and stolen work from Black employees." He turned to the shareholders. "I have copies of all this documentation," Marcus said. "I have copies of Keisha's original work. I have copies of email correspondence. I have witness testimony. I have everything you need to know the truth." He then explained that Keisha Williams had been paid unfairly. She had been denied promotions. She had lost opportunities, all because her work had been stolen. "I'm asking this board to take immediate action," Marcus said. "I'm asking you to reject Sarah Mitchell's appointment as CEO. I'm asking you to investigate how someone with this history of deception and discrimination against Black employees could have risen so high in our organization." The room erupted. People were on their feet. Some were angry at Sarah. Others were shocked. Still others were filming everything to share on social media. Sarah Mitchell tried to leave the room. Security staff blocked her way. She was trapped, surrounded by hundreds of people who now knew the truth about her. She broke down. Tears streamed down her face. She admitted that yes, she had taken Keisha's work. She said she was sorry. She said she had felt threatened by how smart Keisha was. She said she had been desperate for success. "I made a terrible mistake," she said. "A terrible, terrible mistake." But her apology came too late. Justice and accountability, the board voted immediately. The vote was unanimous to reject Sarah Mitchell's appointment as CEO. Within days, Sarah Mitchell resigned from Beacon Industries completely. She was forced to give back bonuses and stock options that she had received based on her fraudulent accomplishments. The total amount exceeded $12 million. The company announced a formal investigation into her conduct. They discovered that she had been systematically taking credit for work done by junior employees, particularly Black and minority employees, for over 20 years. 5 former employees came forward. They were all people of color. They all had stories of having their work stolen by Sarah Mitchell. They all described being passed over for promotions, while Sarah received recognition for their ideas. Keisha Williams received a formal apology from the company. She was offered a significant settlement. More importantly, she was offered her old job back, but at a senior level with a salary that reflected what she should have been earning all those years. "I'm not interested in the money," Keisha said in a statement. "What I wanted was for the truth to come out. I wanted people to know what happened. I wanted other young employees to feel safe reporting this kind of misconduct without being afraid." Marcus Thompson was praised for his courage and integrity. He had taken a huge risk by exposing Sarah Mitchell publicly. He could have been sued. He could have faced retaliation. But he had done it anyway because it was the right thing to do. The story went viral. Media outlets around the world reported on it. News organizations did deep dives into how companies systematically steal ideas from minority employees. Documentaries were made. The story sparked important conversations about race, discrimination, and fairness in corporate America. Sarah Mitchell's reputation was destroyed. She couldn't get a job anywhere. Companies didn't want to be associated with her. She had gone from being on the verge of becoming a CEO to being unemployable. But the bigger impact was cultural. The story showed that theft of intellectual property, especially when it targets minority employees, would not be tolerated. It showed that powerful people could still be held accountable. The moral takeaway and call to action. What happened with Sarah Mitchell and Keisha Williams teaches us several important lessons. First, it shows that truth always comes out. Sarah Mitchell thought she had gotten away with her theft. She thought no one would ever find out. She thought she could just continue climbing the ladder with her stolen accomplishments. But eventually, the truth found its way to light. Second, it shows the importance of integrity. Marcus Thompson could have let this slide, but he chose to do the right thing, even though it was difficult, even though it was risky, because he believed that integrity matters more than anything else. Third, it shows that discrimination in the workplace is real. Black and minority employees have long talked about having their ideas stolen and their contributions erased. This story validated those experiences. It proved that these things actually happen in corporate America. Fourth, it shows that accountability is possible. When someone commits fraud or discrimination, there can be real consequences. Sarah Mitchell didn't get away with it. She lost her job. She lost her money. She lost her reputation. But perhaps the most important lesson is this: that one person, with courage and integrity, can make a huge difference. Marcus Thompson was in a position of power. He could have ignored what he learned, but he didn't. He used his power to stand up for what was right. And because he did, 5 people got justice. 5 people who had been wronged got vindication. Keisha Williams went on to have a successful career at Beacon Industries. She eventually became the chief operations officer. She used her position to implement policies that made sure ideas were properly credited to their creators. She made sure that young employees, particularly minority employees, had their work protected. What happened to me happened to a lot of people, Keisha said in an interview about a year after the incident. People were too afraid to speak up. But once Marcus created space for the truth to come out, once he showed that he would actually do something about it, others felt brave enough to come forward. That's how change happens, she continued. One person with courage creates an opening, and then others follow. Sarah Mitchell's story became a cautionary tale. Business schools used it as a case study about ethics. Companies referenced it when establishing policies about intellectual property. It became a symbol of what happens when someone builds their career on stolen accomplishments and lies. So what did you think of Marcus Thompson's courage? Drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever seen someone take credit for someone else's work? What would you have done if you were in Marcus's position? Do you believe that companies can truly change their discriminatory practices? Yeah, these questions matter. Your voice matters. So please like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss stories about real people standing up for what's right. Hit that notification bell so you get alerts every time we post. Together we can create a world where truth and justice prevail. We'll see you in the next video. Keep fighting for what's right. The end. This story reminds us that integrity and courage can transform not just one person's life, but an entire organization and culture. When someone with power chooses to stand up for the truth, incredible things can happen.